Other, does anybody want to add things to the agenda? I wanted to follow up on that email that I sent you under new business.
Okay.
I didn't bring that email, so I sort of remember what it's about, but you can tell us when we get to there. With that addition to that was the question of, generally speaking, it was the question of who owns or is responsible for the land on the lake side of the library and other such things. So that's in the new business. Is there anything else to add or amend? Is there any objection to the adoption of the agenda as added? There being no objection, we don't have our note taker here. Are we going to have one?
No, Sam's unable to make it, but she'll watch the video and make the minutes.
Okay, very good. And you had the minutes, and since I didn't get a chance to read all the words, I'll take just a minute to read it over. The YMCA golf tournament that's listed, that was discussed there as penciled in, isn't going to happen this year. We don't have to put that in the minutes, but I just thought, as I was reading it, it was worth mentioning. Does anybody have any objections or additions or corrections to the minutes?
Move approval.
If there is no objection, the minutes are approved as distributed. That brings us to the golf report. Paul, you're on.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, well, let's see, we're pretty much at the end of the season right now. We're, basically in, close down mode. We've got, the building is, the clubhouse is open still. It will be operating through this weekend. With, I think, the exception of Thursday, I don't think there'll be anyone in Thursday. It's supposed to be really cold, but basically, you know, last month went pretty good. We had, you know, we had a few rain days, a little bit of bad weather, but all in all, I think we're pretty much up to average as far as rain comes. We had good play, but it's really, you know, this month, it's really changed. It's really pretty dramatically. We're just really not getting enough revenue if they're keeping it open any longer. So I think that this coming weekend is going to be, you know, about it. We're already starting to do things to the course, get it ready for winter, and we're going to be, you know, the flag will still be in. Members want to come out with that card, you know, where they can play. Occasionally we have people drop in that want to play, and we have workers on the course. We can settle with them in the field, that sort of thing. But really, we're going to be closed down, and we've got a lot of things to do before, you know, before the weather really changes dramatically. And that's kind of where we're at. The only other bit of news that was sitting out there is I finally got a hold of the person that's going to be the new representative with the club cars. He's going to have those club cars going to be coming in the beginning of November. So we'll be leaving space for the 3 new carts in our shed for storage, you know, November 20 be used this year. So that's about the summary of what's going on out there.
Anybody have any questions of Paul? Where are you?
I'm on 30, 35W, I-35 headed north. Now I'm on a medical trip today and headed back up north. And then I do some contract work, punching greens for deep timing greens for some of the courses up in the north here. So I have a little bit of that tomorrow and Thursday. And I have a little bit of that each week off until November. And so then I'll be back. I've got my crew's on the course right now, and then I'll be back in on Friday. I'll be running the clubhouse Friday and Sunday. But yeah, that's the machine I'm running for contract work is the one that I come up with punch our greens with it every year. And I did that. I'm going to be doing that probably after next weekend. So it's around 15, 16 of October. I'll be giving them, starting to spray on Friday, Saturday possibly. And then bring them to our final spray. We have to play it by ear and do it as late as we can based on temperatures, air temperatures, and wind. I try to wait as long as I can. I have to be able to spray and I have to be able to put stakes in the ground to rope off the green. So, I'm just keeping an eye on temperatures. And Dave, do you know when you're going to be blowing water down at the parks?
Yeah, we're scheduled to be open through the 23rd, through Sunday the 23rd, so we wouldn't be at it till that final week of October if the weather holds.
Okay, because we've got the compressor up at the course now. We're going to be probably hooking that up Friday and maybe start blow out the beginning part of the following week. But it's going to be just myself and Twinkie working, I think, after this weekend.
Yeah, no problem with that. Let us know if you need any help.
Twinkie?
Okay. Well, that's it on my end, unless you have any questions.
If anybody have any questions or comments? Thank you, Paul. Enjoy the rest of your trip.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Paul.
Yeah.
Thanks, Paul. See you back up here.
Bye.
The next item on the agenda is the city council report. Craig?
Okay. Last city council meeting really wasn't anything to do with the golf course, but we did discuss a few things.
Can you pull the mic down a little bit? Thank you.
Wasn't really anything to discuss as far as the golf courses or the rec park or golf course or marina is concerned, but we did approve purchase of a used ladder truck for the fire department from the city of Richfield, which is a good savings to the city. We're replacing a skid steer for the streets department. We're going to be paving the downtown alley that runs between the Dairy Queen and Johnson Heritage Post. And also it spurs off and heads out towards Highway 61 that runs behind the Old American Legion and part of Buck's land. So that's all city land, and that will be blacktopped.
This fall yet?
I believe so, yes. KTM is still up in the area. They're going to be doing some paving over at the border station, and I think they have a couple of spots to fix in town here yet. So hopefully that gets done. What else did we have on the agenda? Reviewed some more design plans and some more discussion on the city liquor store, city hall. And I guess that's about everything we covered at the city council meeting. That's all I have to report. Anybody have any questions on any of that stuff?
Just what's the status of the city hall liquor store building?
Well, we went back, we had 3 different companies propose, I guess, not really, can't really nail down any cost estimates of anything because we don't really have an exact structure that we want to build. We did at one time, and then during COVID, this all kind of got put on the back table. But LHB presented us with a design plan and projected costs of, what it would cost to go through the whole process, and that's something that I guess we have to discuss between all of us, and where we're gonna go with exactly a plan, how many square feet this is gonna be. There's still discussion whether or not we wanna combine the city hall and the liquor store in one building, or put the city hall somewhere else. We're still kind of up in the air on some of those exact issues, but I think it's all gonna come down to what is the most economical way to approach it, in my opinion, anyway.
Is the new building, whatever it finally turns out to be, gonna be on the site of the current liquor store and City Hall?
Well, if we use this property we're on right now, this would all be torn down, the liquor store building and this building, and it would be back on the same site if we did a project with both buildings together. So then we run into other issues of temporary liquor store while this project is getting built, things like that. So those are the issues we have to work out as we wade through this project.
We haven't identified where the liquor store would go, or where the city offices would go.
Well, tentatively, it's the same place, same area. Right here, yeah.
It's the temporary
And the public
one.
bathrooms on this corner over here.
Yeah. It's the temporary one we're all worried about, the temporary liquor store.
Yeah, where it's gonna be, yeah, I don't know how we're gonna do that. We have to look for space. If we're gonna do that, that's what we gotta look for, is temporary space. But anyway, that was a discussion. We just didn't go into it. I think what's gonna end up happening, we're probably gonna have LHB come up and go through this, just to see what their ideas are. And we have some questions of them also.
It's not likely to begin anything by way of construction until at least next spring, I gather.
Yeah, at least. That'd probably be the absolute soonest, for sure. Yeah. Nothing's happening within the next few months, that's for sure.
Any other questions or comments about the city report? Parks report, you have one that was distributed to you. You want to go ahead and talk?
Yeah, thanks, Steve. So September is in the books. We had a couple of big events on the harbor last month. The second week of the month, we had the ribbon cutting down to Parkside Public Access. That was very nice. The rain stopped for a moment, and some nice thank yous were said to the funders and the public. We had the Trails and Parks second in command was down there giving some nice words. And then Mayor Jay was there with Kent Score, the specialist from the DNR, who's, I would say, the project manager for this all along. Those were the two involved in the actual ribbon cutting. But the chamber hosted it. Linda was there with Jim Boyd as well. And so it was a nice chance to thank the community for the commitment down there. And now that we've been open about a month, we've had very favorable reviews. The boaters have been pleased. We're able to actually fetch out a couple of larger motorboats off from the seasonal docks in the marina. These were like 38-foot boats that were the biggest we built the facility for, and they were able to haul out on custom trailers last Friday and Saturday without any incidents, and they're now stored out in the ball field parking lot, paying winter storage. Probably have just one more big one coming out, the Corkscrew, Corey Ryden's boat that was in the Coast Guard parking lot last winter. We will hope to keep over in the ball field lot this winter.
Who pays for the movement of the boats, the owners?
The owners, yep.
And what do we charge them for being in the ball field during the winter?
$77 a month is the off-season storage rate. So it's about $462 for the 6 months per boat.
And you're not storing anybody in the new parking lot?
Not, hopefully not. We do see Art Kid's little houseboat there currently, but I've talked to Art and we're hoping we can move that down to the ball field lot.
All right. And that's just, is that something that's going to be plowed?
We need access to the water treatment plant, so yeah, there'll be some access plowing to, so that the water department can access the water plant, but not as a whole, the parking lot won't be plowed.
Okay.
Just a path into the water plant.
So were those big boats able to be taken out from the Coast Guard landing previously, or?
No, just Corey used the Coast Guard last fall. They went down to Knife River last fall, knowing that there wouldn't be a suitable facility.
To even bring them out of the water?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But now that we're open over there, in the spring, they'll launch over there and
Uh-huh.
we'll continue that on. So it's nice to be open and favorably reviewed and accepted, and yeah. The other big thing that happened last month on the harbor was the picnic pavilion at the marina, the timber frame structure that the North House class built in late August through, early September was the class, and they erected that, I think the day before the ribbon cutting, like on a nice Wednesday. Peter Hendrickson's class from the North House erected a 15 by 25, and it has these natural braces. It's known as the Grindbrig style.
Right.
And it's very artful. It's
It
very
looks great.
impressive. So great that we're considering buying it. We've been kind of on two different plans here with what initially was a project where we would, purchase the materials and the class would install it and we would own it, was Plan A. When we first were at this in the spring. And then the North House reached out to us mid-season and said, what about just a demo idea, that this be a show, like a floor model that, because they sell these typically during the spring boat show auctions, we could keep it on site for free, but if and when a buyer is interested in purchasing it, it would
Goes
go away and they would build another one. And I thought, well, that's great, we get a structure for effectively free. But the finishing would be, temporary, like we wouldn't put a real roof on it.
Right.
Did you say we paid for the materials?
We haven't yet.
Pardon?
No, we haven't yet.
Oh, are we going, if they do this project, then we wouldn't pay for the materials?
The current situation is that it's this like for sale piece of, timber frame that's for sale, and that we're merely hosting it on our land, and that the North House will or could sell it to an interested buyer in the future, at which time they would build a replacement. And, we'd go through the process, they'd take it down, they'd put up another one.
So, but if I understand it correctly, then the materials that we were going to pay for, we wouldn't pay for if it was sold.
Right.
The materials we get paid for on the proceeds of sale.
Right.
So what are the materials running for something like that?
They gave us a quote, didn't they?
$53.55 is the buy it now price.
So we're having this discussion now?
We are.
Okay. We kind of went into it, so.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. So the
$53.55.
Yeah.
$53.55 and we own it.
Okay, well, my general feeling is I think it'd be a lot less disruptive if we would just own it. And obviously, they can use it to bring people down to look at it if they want to use it as like a demo thing. But if we're gonna not own it and let it be taken down and then wait for another one to be built, that kind of disrupts the whole idea of having that shelter there to service the marina, because there might be times where it won't even be there for a while until we put another one in. It does look nice. I've looked at it, and it went up nice, and I think, I don't know, as a representative of the park, I would like to see the park purchase that and have it be a permanent structure. Then we can get some groundwork done underneath it, whether with pavers or brick or block or whatever we decide to do on the bottom of it,
Yeah.
That's my whole idea.
The 53.55 is 5,355?
That's right.
So that would be it would be easy for us to either pay that or just pay for the cost of materials and keep it, or whatever, however that might be negotiated.
Right. We have to put a roof on though, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that is, I think, maybe the biggest reason to purchase it is to finish it with a proper metal roof
Right.
Yeah.
and put some pavers underneath, make it semi-permanent. Right, the idea is the marina is yet to be master planned, so we don't actually know the future of the marina. We know is going to change. The locations of things are going to change. That's why we didn't pour a slab and we didn't make it a permanent installation. pending a master plan and a future, layout down there. We kept it movable. It's on pavers now.
And,
It still will be movable.
and so,
Yeah.
and putting a metal roof on it, it would still be movable.
It would, yeah. It was actually built as sort of two 12-foot, 12-and-a-half-foot pieces that are joined in the middle on like a common, I forget the name of the joint in the middle, but with just a little bit of spacing of our metal, we can, take off two panels, take it apart in the middle, and move it as two, like 12 by 15 pieces. So it's quite modular. It was built that way. The idea of a wax tarp temporary roof is not that appealing.
Right.
And certainly
Right.
the boaters, the marina patrons really like it. They really want to see it stay there. That's where we're having this discussion about purchasing it and finishing it right.
And as, like Craig mentioned, putting pavers down, I mean, that's not gonna,
Yeah.
that's just
temporary.
fine. You can still move it and keep the
Everything's
pavers
movable,
somewhere
yeah.
else, yeah.
If
So
we ever
that's
need to
great.
move it in the future, which might not be like real soon, but it is movable and
It's nice to have that, yeah. And what's the size, 15 by 25?
Yeah,
Yep.
That's a nice size.
yeah, it's just right.
Yeah, it looks nice.
So should I make a motion for us to purchase the timber frame from North House for the shelter at the
It
marina?
would certainly be in order if you wish
Okay,
to do
I
so.
so make that motion.
Is there a second? Second by Bob. Is there further discussion?
I don't want to have to move this one. We've carried timber frames around before, and it's really hard, and it hurts a lot.
Don't put them on your
Okay.
call list, Dave.
Last time we had 30 people to carry it, and it wasn't enough.
Yeah,
I
it's-
had
it's
assumed that
heavy.
when they talked about moving it, it was going to be done by some kind of machine.
There you go.
But I
North
can't.
House.
Not at North House.
Not at North House.
Except
No.
for a permanent site.
We carried the one onto the dock, and it was really hard.
So we have a motion and a second. Is there further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Did you vote aye, Kate?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, 5 ayes. That, there being 5 ayes, there are obviously no nays. So the motion passes.
So just out of curiosity, would you put a roof on it this fall yet, or would you wait?
We'll have to see how the weather holds. We
Yeah.
got several, projects already scheduled and winterizing, and it's going to be weather dependent.
Right.
Okay.
So
Great.
if I understand it correctly, if you can put that roof on, we're supportive of that whenever you can finally get to it.
Oh, yeah, we'll get to it.
Do you need a motion?
No, that's
Okay.
just what we do.
All right?
So-
So you want to pick up where you left off, which is,
Yeah, Radio Waves was another event in September. It was a success, 15th annual return to the park. Had one day of rain, Friday was wet, but the radio was thoughtful, put out an extra section of tent, and so everyone was able to stay nice and dry on Friday. And then Saturday, Sunday was nice, and everything went very smooth. Had several fine comments from local community members on park staff and how we kept things clean and organized, and I would say the same for the radio. They're always great event makers that leave the site as clean as they found it. No butts, no juice box straws.
Did that work well to have the vendors outside the sledding hill?
Yes, because we could allow trucks, which was a big plus to allow food trucks, which made a huge difference just for electricity purposes. So I think that's something we'll are going to do in the future, and the addition of the fire pit right across from the food trucks in the group tenting area was very nice, and I mean it went off pretty good on Friday night, but it was kind of rainy. But Saturday night was very nice, and the picnic tables. Once people saw what it was, a lot of people went and ate their food there, which was nice, and you can certainly hear the music plenty loud. So
Great.
Yeah, but attendance slightly down from 2019.
yep, It was slightly down just a little bit, and, it's hard to figure out what that is, if it's still from COVID, things like that, but it seems like the park certainly filled up. I mean, all the normals that usually come to the park came to the park, which was good. Yeah, we didn't, I don't think we had too much of a price change or anything. I think it was like $30 for the weekend, which is pretty affordable for most.
Yeah, it was good
So-
to have you back.
Keeping it affordable is one of our main things we have, is keeping it so families can come and enjoy it.
So you're gonna do it again?
Well, this was our 15th time, so I guess we're going to, yes.
When you get to the next question there in your report about the Grand Marais sign on Highway 61 downtown, would you remind me where that sign is? At the one by the coffee shop?
That's right.
Yep.
Okay, then I know where to look.
I noticed
Yeah.
it has fresh paint, it looks nice.
Yeah, it's fresh paint, but it's an old wooden sign, rotting out sign. We talked about this earlier in the season, how we just kind of give it the DuPont overhaul, and we'll probably get another, couple years out of it, but I foresee a sign replacement soon or later. But now we turn our attention to the Bear in the Boat sign. That's on the left side of the library entrance as you're looking at the library, and the stone arches there. We got the Voyager and the canoe on the right. That's a metal sign, the Voyager with the canoe, and it's got a very high quality epoxy finish on it. It's Yarrow Corf, a number of years ago, restored those signs. And so the Voyager's doing fine. The Bear in the Boat on the left side is under a cedar tree. It's a wooden sign. We believe between the cedar oils from the tree dripping on it and maybe lack of circulation around it, because it's a bit engulfed in the cedar tree, the paint's failed, right? It's all flaky and peely and needs to be redone. And so we will soon remove the sign from the stone, and we've got a local sign maker that's interested in some offers or some pricing options on whether or not it can just be repainted and effectively sealed, or if a new metal sign with the epoxy paint would be more durable and would last longer. We'll have to, look at the prices once we have those options. We'll let you know. Definitely one of our fall projects.
And are you talking about removing it in the fall, or?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And then, of course, that cedar tree will have to be assessed, whether or not we can hopefully just trim it back, versus take it down. Something we'll look at. And maybe, Steve, now's the chance, maybe if you want to wait for new business, we can talk about the library and the rain
Well,
gardens.
let's wait, finish your report.
Okay. So that's our fall projects. We've got September numbers here for you. Revenue was just fine, amazingly, almost exactly even from 2021, like up $824. Not even a percent, and that's on 240,000. And so we're well over the million, and about 1,200,000 I think we're at right now, plus or minus maybe 1,300,000. Meets our budget. We've still got October to go, and we've got full weekends here through MEA, the 23rd.
Wow.
Weather dependent. We're definitely telling folks that are booking now, we'll let you know once we see overnight lows in the 20s, highs in the 30s, we're going to be winterizing. So we're keeping a close eye on the 7-day forecasts, and so far so good. It looks like a little bit of lower 30s coming, Thursday, Friday nights, but then highs back up in the 50s. So it looks good on a 10-day forecast. There's a lot of 40s and a touch of 50.
Dan, what's the provision for bathhouse for winterers gathering?
Porta potties.
You don't keep water running.
No water in November. Nope. Like I said, we already begun the winterization and the deep cleaning of the bathhouses, something we do every October, getting the drains cleaned out, getting the pressure washer out, shower walls, all that good stuff. We're well into it. Bathhouse 2 has already been closed for the season. That's the little one just below the park office. It really serves a seasonal neighborhood that is more or less checked out. A few folks from Florida, though, are still there. Yeah, surprising a few folks are from that Fort Myers area in the winter and they're waiting for things to
Oh, yeah,
recover.
I'll bet.
So,
So is there like a date that they have to leave, or can someone stay in their trailer if they have their own water and power?
well, the 23rd is our last full-service water day, rates are full-service rates. You can camp in the off-season without water. Power is available, it's $20 a night, but it's strictly weekend nightly. Like so we don't allow like a winter residency.
Right, there's that, but they can stay if they wanted to past to like to November 1st or
Yeah,
something.
it's pretty common, especially with the weather, to see, hunters up in November.
Sure.
North House has a winter's gathering the third weekend in November. That's always popular with the, yurts and 3 or 4 season tents. And so we get a little action in November. Once snow is in, we keep a few sites plowed out because we're there, we're, monitoring the marina and the de-icing on the docks, so we're able to plow the loop. We plow out a few sites down in the front row. And every year we see a little use of those by ice castles in particular, these newer RVs that are 4 seasons. We see those in spring break times or long weekends. We'll see some action down, but it's very empty. Otherwise, there's no reservations. It's just show up. 20 a night for electric, 10 for no hookup.
How many staff are on during the winter?
Just the 3 of us full-timers. Well, Paul is kind of on a salaried position. He's not here, but he's being paid. But Samantha is the office manager full-time, Aaron the facilities manager full-time, and myself.
Okay.
And so we start the reservation season in November. That's kind of Sam's cup of tea, is getting when the reservations for May start this November. That's next month.
Yeah, it's like 3 weeks.
Yeah, and it's, slower for May reservations, but yeah, December, January, February, all very busy for reservations. What else we got? October is the Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and so once again, the Violence Prevention Center will be hosting a Tree of Hope. It's up in Harbor Park right now. It's a little purple dressed tree in the circular round. It's got some sandwich board interpretation to it to persuade people that it's not the Christmas tree. It's the Tree of Hope, and they'll be having a candlelight vigil at the end of the month here on Thursday, the 27th at 6 p.m. The center submitted a special event application, and I gave it administrative approval because it's a known event of minimal risk and small number of attendees. And then finally, I'll just kind of prelude to next month, November, we talk about reservations. We better get our rates in order, and so that'll be the topic of discussion next month. I'll bring some ideas in the usual packaging of marginal increases, 3%, 5%. Dare we go 8%? I don't know. I'll put some numbers out there, but it's usually on nightly rates, 50 cents versus $1. Monthlies can be up, $20 or so a month is that 3% amount. So I'll have materials out before the meeting next November, or for this coming month. But just to start thinking about that. If anyone has suggestions or input now, I'd be happy to take it, or at any point.
I will not be here next month,
Your excuse.
so you have a quorum of 4.
So my question, just curious, because I don't know, but back to the Christmas tree, is that something you do?
Yeah, that's something we do. The city, principally Matt, Jeff, and Greg in the power department with the cherry picker truck.
So Matt Bronikowski?
Yeah.
Is that, okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's a team collaboration, and so we're actually working with Visica County. They'll hopefully do like a crowdsourced search for a good tree, a natural tree. We've always struggled to find a shapely, just the right size, stout enough tree to erect down there, but once we do, the power department picks it off the right-of-ways or whatever they come up with, install it, help with the lights. Aaron and I do a lot of light dressing as well. Aaron, principally, it's like a November project for him to do all the dress up of the Harbor Park lights and but then the garlands and the bows that go on the downtown streetlights is also with the power guys and their bucket truck. And we've got some grant money from Visica County to replace a lot of our gear. It's aged and worn out, the bows and the garland, it's because it's in such a windy, hostile environment. We're, looking at replacement, and we've got some local visitor tax money to go towards that.
At first blush, it seems like it would be not difficult to find a pine tree of some kind. But I suppose the problem is they're too big.
It's a tough fit. It's a windy spot, and you want that nice shapely balanced tree, about 15, 20 feet. So it is always a challenge finding one and keeping it up.
Do they run
Yeah.
wires off that? Guy wires?
Would it be useful to circularize the community and say, if you've got a tree you'd like to donate that meets these specifications? Would
That's
that
what
save
vi-
you some work?
Yeah, Nick at Visica County's already, we've been talking about him putting out that crowdsourced,
Yeah. Oh,
Tree.
okay, that's what you meant. Got
yeah.
it.
Yeah, that's early November work.
Any
But-
other
but then,
questions or comments about the Parks report?
Needs to be a sincere tree. Very important.
So, and how did the paving go?
Really good.
Nice.
No interruptions. They came on a Wednesday. They left on a Wednesday. No one was put out. People were surprised and impressed and continue to be, because it really went down slick.
That's great.
Yeah, no, KTM, I just took down some of their ribbon and it says like, professional service, outstanding results. And I would agree. But yeah, even the bumps down on the low road are smooth right now, so.
I haven't been down there, so it's good to hear.
Yeah, enjoy it while it lasts.
Quick.
But no, we've got really good pavement there, and then we've been, Aaron and the facilities team have been shoulder dressing with Class 1, and most of that is done as well.
Okay, I don't see any, I'm not aware of any old business. So the next item would be the new business, and Dave, would you mind reading that little email that I sent you as a way of introduction?
Yeah, you bet, Steve. So last week, Steve sent me some questions. You must be working with, like, I assume, like Pastor Eno and the First Congo Church group. Is that where these are originating from? Or is this the library board? At any rate, the questions have been asked, does the park board have the job of maintaining the ground between the library and 61? Maybe. We do mow the lawn.
Pardon?
Yes, we mow the lawn.
Okay.
So that's question one.
Relatively limited answer.
Well, that's the truth.
Let's put it this way, I think what they're interested in knowing is who's in charge of letting them do what they would like to do with the garden and things of that sort.
The library, maybe, the city, I guess, all
The library
encompassing.
board told Pastoreno, who's on the board, that their authority stops at their wall.
Oh, well, then we'll take it and say, do what you like. I know, this has been ongoing in terms of the rain garden, is what this is really after.
Rain garden on the right.
There's two of them now.
Yeah, but there's one, the one we're talking about is the east one, right?
Well, that one's been spruced up now.
Oh, okay.
That was the newer one out front of Coldwell Banker. I would say east.
For the
right?
one, yeah, we're talking the one by the sign.
Yeah, the
metal.
one under the Voyager sign is
Yeah.
the original one
Yep.
on the corner of the highway, and it's looking like a rain garden, you
That one
know,
needs some attention, okay.
unkept. And we, the city, own the land, and so ultimately we're responsible for it. Soil and Water, Cook County Soil and Water installed it, did the, design work, and like you say, the grant to have it built. I don't know anything about a 10-year agreement. Another question here was, they mentioned something about a 10-year agreement between Soil and Water and the city, who had the grant money, and that the city would maintain the rain gardens for 10 years, of which 5 have passed. Are we involved in that? Yes, we've done occasional maintenance there. So has Soil and Water. Like in the spring, for example, when the 8th grade class or whoever comes down for like community service day, and we put about 20 of them to work in the harbor park pulling weeds, and the other 20 go to the rain garden to pull weeds. So we do like a spring cleanup over there that's organized through Soil and Water. You know, takes the students to the rain garden, and the park staff takes the students to Harbor Park. And then throughout the season, there's occasional maintenance. Principally Soil and Water, though, is the default. You know, if you want something done, ask Soil and Water. But I understand they've kind of referred Pastor Eno's group back to us, the city. And I've talked to Pastor Eno throughout the summer. I know he's got a group of volunteers that have done great work pulling and mulching. And we've sent a truck to, you know, pick up the pile of weeds, and sent a truck up to Hedstrom's to get complimentary mulch. And so we're involved, and we're, you know, able to help as needed.
Greg, do you think that the city administrator or anybody else besides Dave gives a rep about what's going on there, or can we rely upon Dave to represent the city in that, in relationship to that?
Well, I think this came up at a city council meeting not too long ago, because we have somebody maintaining the east one, the west one.
Dina,
The
on
land-
private
yeah,
property.
The landowner who owns the house in that area has been kind of maintaining it and keeping it up really nice. And it was, somebody had brought up what the other side looked like, and maybe it needs a little bit more maintenance, other than you guys do a great job in the spring, but then as summer goes on, I mean, you know, I don't know what we want to do as far as cutting or pruning or what we're doing with it, or what kind of stuff is planted in there. Maybe we need to change our direction on what's in there. I mean, so it's easier to maintain. I don't know. But yeah, it has been brought up. The maintenance of it, I guess, and how it looks. So I think I could bring it up next week as a topic of discussion.
So is the concern that it's not looking good enough, or, I don't really understand.
Is it
what
looking
the-
too wild? Is that what
What the
the concern is?
What's the concern?
the condition of it? Or
I'm
what?
not privy to the detail. I
Okay.
had Pastor Reno and Bruce Tyler, who is involved with the rain garden project, chatted with me after church last Sunday. And Edo's on the library board, so that's where they got that answer. So I think they're just trying to figure out who they have to deal with. And
This comes
Could be
from
the city.
Minnesota Interfaith Power and Light,
yep,
which is doing a climate in Cook County project among many churches. And that church and Eno are the lead for doing things that are doable, and the rain garden is perceived as one of them. The Earth Day celebration was their first event, and the rain garden is low-hanging fruit. And solving the climate problem internationally is next.
Okay,
So it's on a gradient.
so they just needed to know who to deal with.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, and I'm
No
happy,
intention group.
yeah.
yeah, and we're happy, I'm happy to, and available to, you know, consult
like
or
it.
send a truck, or if we have staff, we're available.
I think I'm gonna, based upon what we've said here today, I'm gonna send them to you, and you will decide if there's anybody else that needs to be engaged in the discussion. Does that
No
make
problem.
sense?
That'd be fine, Steve.
Okay, were there any other questions in my email?
Just that thought of Interfaith Power is interested in maintenance, and they'd like to have a small sign reflecting their involvement. Are there any problems with that? And I don't see any, but I'll be happy to work with Pastor
Okay.
Eno.
I'll send,
And I have throughout the season. I mean, he and I have talked already
yeah,
several
I'll send them
times.
back to you now that
Yep.
it's more clear.
Yep, and then there was one last question about a poetry in the sidewalk, like this poetry walk was a concept several years ago when the highway was being designed and planned. There was quite a bit of attention on that corner, on the you know, library rain garden corner, becoming more of a plaza, you know, which would be hardscape, stamped concrete, colored concrete, that sort of work, and then a sidewalk. You know, currently there's no sidewalk connecting the Highway 61 sidewalk to the library. You just stroll across the lawn.
Right.
But the years ago library board had a vision and a concept to make a meandering sidewalk with poetry stamped into the concrete, but I'm certain that has gone by the wayside. I think previous library directors and 61 has come and gone, so that's no longer an option. But initially, I was pleased to see that idea of removal of that rain garden and installation of a hardscaped plaza space, which wasn't affordable. So it didn't get done.
Was that with the Highway 61 project?
Mhm.
Yeah,
It was a early concept.
yeah.
Apparently it was in the plan at one point, it was found to be too expensive for
Yep.
somebody's taste, so it didn't happen.
Exactly.
I suppose nobody would object to having that sidewalk built with the poetry in it as long as they can find some money for it.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. So,
Is there any other business for the, yes, sir?
Where is the George Morrison project?
Oh, yeah.
good question.
Okay, I'm not urgent, I'm just curious.
I will find out, because it hasn't been talked about since the spring.
It was gonna resurface in the fall,
Mm-hmm.
and we are in the fall. And it's fine to have it back, but then it should be pushed until it resurfaces later.
Yeah, we were talking about maybe dividing the project into smaller pieces that could get done in the off-season or whatever.
Yeah.
And
That's- I can
there were
follow up on
smaller,
that.
more bids coming to the council, and, you know, I'm just afraid it'll end up getting cheapified and then done as a token rather than an event, and that would be bad.
We will revisit.
So let's put it under old business for the next meeting.
Sounds good.
Good, thank you. Anything else? If nobody objects, I will adjourn the meeting. It's adjourned.
Thanks, Steve.